Hi, everybody. This is Randy. Welcome to Randy Starts a Side Hustle. I have a great guest today with us on the show, Christian Lopez.
What's up, everybody?
We have so much to talk about. We've been involved. We actually worked in the same company, and we made it to great levels in the company. It was a lot of fun, so we have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about all kinds of topics on this episode today, all kinds of things. We're on here to just give our opinion and help as many people as we can help on their journey with their side hustle. There's things that you guys may agree, and there's things that you guys might not agree. You guys can shoot me any questions or anything you ever want me to talk about on one of these podcasts. Let me know, because we'll talk about it. I love it. We're having a great time. Christian and I worked in network marketing together, and we have a lot to talk about that today. It's going to be a lot of fun. Christian, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, man.
You for
I'm glad
coming.
to be here. Glad to be here. Well, yeah, guy. I've been a sales guy my whole life, and side hustles as well. I've got my hands always in a couple of pots, but I've been a sales guy my whole entire life. I was a musician. I still am, but
that's cool.
I don't quite play as much as I used to, but I did play professionally for a while. I traveled all over the world playing music, and anytime I would come home after being away for 6 months or 5 months or whatever, and I needed to make some money real quick or something, I'd get right back into sales because my dad was a salesman. Actually, he was he's old now, right? But he was a really, really good salesman back in his day. And his way, this is a really cool thing, his way of like spending time together when I was a little kid was he'd pick me up and he'd take me with him on appointments.
That's
right?
awesome.
Right, which I hated it back then, but I mean, dude, I owe everything that I am now specifically to that. So
you get to be there.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. That's great. What about MLM? Tell me about MLM and network marketing. How when you were first introduced into the business, and I'm going to tell you my story. It's pretty cool.
So I'll tell you the first time, and then I'll jump into the relevant one.
Dale.
The very first time, a friend calls me up. I don't remember what he said, but he just tried to get me to go to his house, right? I knew something was up, but I didn't know quite what, because it was my first time being exposed to something. And I got there, and it's a long time ago, right? So that this guy had one of those big tripod...
An easel.
Yeah. With the paper. And he had a marker, and he started drawing, a circle and 2 lines and 2 other circles. And I was like, oh, this is one of those things, And so, I don't know. They didn't impress me much at that moment. It wasn't the right time. Yeah, it wasn't the right time, whatever. Clearly, after that, I had been exposed to network marketing several times. I was already in the sales industry, and so the time that really was relevant for me, I had a couple stints of other network marketing companies. I kind of liked it a little bit. I liked the idea of not trading your time for money, and having your own business. Man,
that's the main thing.
All the stuff that catches the attention of somebody with our kind of personality profile, right? It's not for everybody, but for the people that do have that kind of personality profile, it works really, really well. And so I'd had some exposures, and I liked it. I hadn't quite had the success that I wanted in it yet, or whatever, but I was very successful on the sales side. And so one day I get a call from my cousin, who I hadn't talked to in years. And my cousin calls me up and says, "Hey, Chris, how you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing fine." "Yeah. Listen, you keep your business options open, man?" I said, "All right, what network marketing company are you doing? And what time is it at your house?" And he was like, "Oh, I mean, somebody was trying to coach him, but he didn't know because I went too direct, right?" And then I said, "Look, I'm probably not interested, but I'm going to go. I'm going to be very, very, very excited. And whether I decide to do it or not, I can pretty much guarantee you that half the people in that room will decide to do it. But I'm going to go to support you no matter what."
You told him that?
Yeah.
Damn, bro. I wish every guest would say something. That's amazing, bro. For real?
Well, it's my cousin.
I'm going to go there and I'm going to be excited. That's awesome.
It's my cousin.
Oh, well, you got
right?
Yeah.
So
but that's awesome, bro. What a great attitude.
I hadn't seen her, and I hadn't seen her husband in a while, and it was family, and what a great excuse to. And then they were like, the number
You
one.
already had experience. It sounds like at that point you already had some experience in the game.
Well, you add the sales experience and a little bit of the network marketing experience because they kind of go together, right? And so, and then they did the number one thing they always tell you not to do, right? They had food and beer and stuff or whatever. and I was like, is there going to be food and beer? Yeah. I go, don't worry, I'll be there. So then I go to the meeting. Now, prior to that, every time I had an exposure to some type of network marketing company, I was never really impressed about the products, right? It always seemed like the products was the excuse for the network marketing company, but not necessarily the business itself. And I always told myself, if somebody ever comes up with something where it's something that you gotta use anyway, and it makes sense, that's a sexy product, right? So I always said that on the back of my mind. So
a product or a service that we have to use every day on a habitual basis.
And it's sexy.
It's sexy.
So I get there, and in my opinion, that was the sexiest product, right, that I had seen because it had to do with essential services, right? So here they are talking about cell phone, home phone, TV, internet. I mean, you use all of that stuff.
Everything.
Right? So I was just like, oh, wait a minute.
It was every service, alarms.
Yeah, I don't have
every service that we have.
Well, what I liked was I don't have to buy anything that I'm not already using.
Bam.
I was already in. When I saw that, I was already in. Now, you know how salespeople are. We're like the easiest person to sell in the world, right? We'll buy
funny,
anything.
but it's true,
We'll
man.
buy anything.
Yeah.
But I don't like showing that because I don't know. I mean, in a network marketing company, it's a network marketing company. But even when I go to a store to buy something, right? Even if I know I'm going to buy something, I never try to show that emotion up front. I kind of poker face it a little bit because I want to see if they're going to give me something else.
Right,
are they going to negotiate? Are they going
right.
to give me some? If you show right from the get that
Yeah, they're going to take you for everything they can.
Yeah. So I kind of held back a little bit, but I had already made up my mind, and then
you got excited. When you saw it, you said, I can make money with this.
I played it cool, but I was excited.
Like you were inside, you were like, damn,
internally,
I
was fired up.
Right.
And as soon as I went to the meeting that they introduced me to, I was like, man, this is what I've been waiting for. And then the other part to it is, at that moment, I don't remember how old I was. I'm 51 as of 2 days ago.
Congratulations,
right?
man. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. But I think I was probably either 39 or 40 or, I was right around somewhere there. So I've always been a little bit of a late bloomer, right? Like a little bit immature, a little bit. And so because I was always in music and because I already had this skill that I could rely on, I wasn't ever really worried about anything. If I needed money, I'd go get a sales job and I'd kill it. I'd be fine.
Absolutely.
But right around that time, I had made some very deep not internalizations. What's the word I'm looking for? Retrospection. I went into myself and said, man, I'm, 39, 40 years old. What am I going to do? And I said, look, I'm really good at this. Why not? As a matter of fact, I just remembered. I saw a YouTube video where Mark Cuban was saying, he was talking about some stuff. And Mark Cuban said something that it's amazing how sometimes one person will say one thing.
It was a defining moment.
It was a defining moment. And Mark Cuban in that video said, if you're in X space, whatever space it is that you're in, and you haven't read every book and seen every video that has to do with what you do, someone else has, and they're going to do better than you.
It's so funny you brought that up. That's great.
And that was the day that I decided I was going to go all in sales. I was already good at it, but I was good at it just because I'd been seeing it my whole life, not because I ever studied it or took it seriously. That's when I started feverishly reading every book, and not so only on sales, personal development, everything that has to do with that space. So that network marketing company came perfectly because, as you know, the culture that they build in these companies, and specifically the one that you and I were a part of.
You were ready.
was all about personal
Yeah,
development.
you were ready already.
Yeah.
You were ready.
And it was perfect. It was a perfect matrimony at that time, you know?
That's awesome. That's awesome. I remember when I first saw, because it sounds so much like my beginning, when I saw network marketing for the first time, I freaked out. I was probably in my 20s. I don't know, remember exactly. I'd have to go back, but I could figure it out. And my father, okay, rest in peace, tells me, listen, I got this guy that wants to show you something. And I blew him off a couple of times. Oh, my father was cool, Guajiro from Cuba. And like the third time he goes to me, oh yeah, I got this guy that wants to meet you today. And I go, okay. I mean, listen, if you don't come here today, I'm gonna. It was one of those. And I sat down with this guy, and this was so long ago, just so you have an idea, that he pulled out a napkin or a piece of paper.
He pencil pitched you on a napkin.
Man. Everything that we use every day on a habitual basis. So I got excited about that. Okay, I don't have to sell anybody. The people are already buying this. I just got to get them to change where they're buying it from and buy it from me. I got that right away. When I saw the MLM network marketing aspect of it, and I told him, when I got excited, bro. Christian, excited. I remember it's branded in my brain. And I looked at it and I was like, it was so good that I said, I couldn't believe it. I go, can you show me that again, man? Can you explain it to me one more time? I just want to make sure I understand it. I already understood it. He shows me that. I couldn't sleep for days.
I remember those days, yes.
I couldn't sleep for days. And then I'm going to talk about what you brought up, which is so important, guys. It's so important. If you do this in whatever you are in, you will destroy it. You will kill it and blow it up. And him and I both did well with this company that we worked on together. We'll talk about that now. But they told me there's one thing, though. When I first went to the meeting, the official meeting, because he invite, you know how it is, that you see it there in the little spot in the kitchen, and then they invite you to the big event, to the weekly meeting, where you see 500 people there, pumped up, excited, in a suit. And they tell you, you have to read this book every month, a book of the month. You have to listen to these cassettes every day. Cassettes back then, bro.
I remember.
And you got to go to these seminars and these conventions that are people that have experience in the business, that are going to teach you how to build the business that you're in. The books worked on your personal development. You started learning that. That was something that I had never seen, Christian.
Oh, wow.
When I got my hands on the first book, The Magic of Thinking Big.
Great book.
Holy moly, bro. When I plugged into that and I started, like you said, it changed everything. By the time I saw the business that you and I saw, wow. All the services, the cell phone services, all that kind of stuff. You gotta read all the books. You gotta get all the information from all the people that are in the business that you're in. so that you can just do the same thing that they've done. Just follow the footsteps. You don't need to make up anything new. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
You just got to put in the time. It's like anything else in life, man. I don't know. Was it Tim Ferriss? Who was like? There was one guy. He came out with the idea, or at least he made it popular, about the 10,000 hours. Right? You put 10,000 hours into anything, and 10,000 hours is enough hours to have mastered whatever it is that you want to do. So whether you're in sales, whether you're, something related to social media, it doesn't matter what it is. You put in those 10,000 hours and you're going to be way beyond proficient, because guess what? Most people won't put in 10,000 hours. Most people will quit on the first year or the second year.
Talking about taking action.
You put in your 10,000 hours and you are going to get very good at whatever it is that you're good at. I was a musician. When I first started, I sucked. I was horrible.
You didn't give up, though.
No. And now, I was very lucky. Things happened to me in a very spontaneous but lucky kind of way. My neighbors were musicians. We met because they heard me practicing. They owned a nightclub in Miami. And then everybody would go to those clubs. I was able to go to those clubs way before I was 21 because I knew all the owners. You know what I mean? And then
that's a great experience.
The first time I ever get paid as a musician,
wow,
to play somewhere, I was already out of the country on a gig.
Wow.
And it was because my neighbors, their percussionists, couldn't make it on that trip. And they're like, dude, our neighbor can play. He's new, but he can carry the beat or whatever. And so here I was playing with a professional band. Everybody was twice my age, or almost twice my age. They were in their 30s and I was like 19. No, 18. Yeah. And here I was in Finland.
That's cool.
Playing music,
wow.
Right? But again, fast forward it to much later, I never stopped playing it. And so it's any skill, playing golf, playing music,
repetition,
selling. It doesn't matter what it is. If you put in 10,000, I promise you, if you put in 10,000 hours, you will get great, not good. You will get great at whatever it is that you're doing. And the majority of the people will never do that. And that will be, and along the way, there's this thing that Jordan Belfort is always talking about, the Wolf of Wall Street, right? And he's always talking about what he calls the good enough factor. So it's not, I put in my 10,000 hours and 10,000 hours from now, I'll be great and everything's good. No. Okay, I'm putting in my 10,000 hours, but by hour 1,000, I'm already better than hour 1.
Heck yeah.
And by hour, 2,000, I'm better than 1,000. And what happens is, whatever it is that you're doing, if it's an income producing opportunity or an income producing activity, you start getting good enough to where you're already making money. You get good enough to be better than everybody else. You get good enough to be recognized in your industry until you're one of the top dogs. And once you've made a name for yourself, you've made a name for yourself,
And it makes it that much easier. It helps you when you have credibility in the business that you're in, and you walk in somewhere into an event with a guest that you brought, and now you're, at a level in the company that's not the beginning. You're not new. They see that you have had success, so it makes it that much easier and faster to grow, because it's like spinning the flywheel. It's like what he said. It's the way that I learned it was, instead of 10,000 hours, I learned it as, you got to look at it like you got a gallon over here, and then over here you have a 500-gallon barrel. And before you can fill this gallon, 1 gallon of yeses, you're going to have to fill this 500-gallon barrel of no's. That's the way it was. That's the way we
law of averages.
You got to do the numbers.
Yeah.
And then when you start, like he says, like 2,000, you've done it already so much that you start getting good, and then you start getting results, and then you keep doing it, and you keep. It's the flywheel. You got to read Good to Great. They talk about the flywheel in there, and once you put in the time and you put in the work and you read the books and you listen to the tapes and you listen to this, and now the audios that are streaming online, and you go to events and you see people that have been in the industry that you're in that teach you how to build the business, and you just do what they're teaching you to do over and over and over and over again, you'll have massive success.
And that carries over and out of that business to your personal life, to other businesses, because once you have the confidence of knowing where you are and what you were able to do, you realize I can do that with everything. And how you do one thing is how you do everything.
100%.
Right? So
100%. That's why when we were turned on to, personal development, how to treat other people when you're talking to them, and working on yourself and keeping yourself pumped up and keeping yourself excited, and you work on this stuff and you already do the work where you start to develop an alligator skin. So that when we saw, because it looks like we saw the business that we saw around the same time in our life when we were ready, that we did great in the company, because now we took what we learned from that and we can apply it to everything in our life.
Yep.
And we had success. It was a lot of fun. It was good stuff. And I talked about, and I want to kind of correct myself on something that I said in my last podcast. I talked about, when I was working at a car dealer, and I talked about my first month there and how I did so good my first month because I didn't know what I was doing. I was green. And I didn't say that in the last podcast. I didn't say I was green. All I said was stick to not knowing what you're doing and don't know what you're doing. I did know what I was doing. I was just new at it. I did know my job as a salesperson because I had already been in sales for a long time, and I did know that I had to know my product knowledge and know about the car and talk to them about the car and get them excited about the car. I knew how to do all that. That's why I had success, because I focused on that. I was green. I didn't know about finance. I didn't know about the price of the car and how much room there was in the car for commissions and how all those numbers work. And by month 2, I knew a little bit. So since I knew a little bit, I started to implement that knowledge in my game that already was working for me, that I was doing good in it, instead of focusing on much.
In the beginning, everybody starts off excited, and everybody knows that sales is a transfer of emotion, right? So if you can transfer that emotion and they feel like they know, like, and trust you, it's done. But once you start, I know, now I know this, and now I know this. And a lot of the times what happens is that becomes an ego thing. You're selling yourself. You're convincing yourself that you know or that you're competent when you were already there. You were already doing it, right? So that always, it even happens, like when I used to train people on the floor, I always saw that right after training, everybody came off like stallions. Like if you just opened the gate and the horses took off.
And they did well.
And they did well. And then they want to start making it theirs, which is important. You got to take whatever it is.
Personalize it.
And make it yours.
I say that.
100%.
Yes, I agree.
Right? But then
that doesn't mean change it.
Yeah. Then they start changing everything because they start doubting themselves, which comes back to that 10,000 hours and back to everything we were doing, right?
The repetition.
When you've got confidence to me, I think, is the most important thing that every human being can have. Not ego. There's a difference.
Posture, confidence. Yeah. Absolutely. People see
confidence
that.
is knowing what you can do. Ego is wanting to prove that to everybody else.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow, that's good. I like that.
So if you know what you can do and now you're sure of it, how you walk, how you carry yourself is different. You're different, and how you portray that is received differently, right? You're confident, you're excited. But then later, if you start getting little insecurities and little things, and then, oh, well, I'm going to show them this, and I'm going to show them this, and I'm going to show them that. Now it's ego. And ego has never been a friend of any salesman. I mean, you're going to meet a lot of top salespeople that are egotistical, right? But I promise you that behind every one of those egotistical people, there is a very big confidence issue. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that.
Of course. If you know what you're doing, you learn, you read the books, like he said, like Mark Cuban said, you read
everything that's in your business, everything that's in your industry.
You don't have to have an ego problem. You already know everything. You just got to be humble and get them excited about what they're buying. You hit that a second ago. If you get them excited about what they're buying and what they're getting, you don't have to be, know it all. For example, in the car business, when I was selling cars, and I believe, in my opinion, anybody that's in sales should at least work at a car dealer for a year. At least. And I don't know how it is now, but when I sold cars, it was brutal. Car sales was super brutal. The salesmen were treated super, super harsh. We had a really bad reputation because of, unethical salespeople. But the car business, holy moly, to me, it was so much fun. It was so exciting, but it helps you build character, right? It makes you strong.
Sure.
It helps you get alligator skin by the way people treat you in the business. Now, that all goes back to what we were talking about last time, attitude, and how your attitude is and how you accept and intake that treatment. When somebody comes in the door, if you handle it properly, you can overcome it quick. And when they see that you're cool, like you were saying a second ago, and that you're humble, and that you have that you know what you're doing, but you don't have an ego problem. And when they finally see that, it'll take a couple of minutes. Don't give up. Just because they're rude for a few minutes, it's okay. They're coming from they're coming from a world back then. It might be a little different now, Christian. But they're coming from a world where when they would go buy a car, for example, they were scared because they didn't know how much markup was in the car, how much money they were going to possibly overpay because they get a freaking shark sales guy that comes up to them and greets them. Because back then, the information wasn't at your disposal like it is now. Now you can go online and you can pull up the invoice on a new car. No problem. But back then you couldn't do it. So you had to really, you still got to do it, but you really had to know your business, and it wasn't a lay down. Now that's why I don't think car people make as much money as we used to make back in the day, but whatever. I'm not in the business. I think you make more money in used cars than you do in new cars, but that's my opinion. But the whole goal was to get people excited about what they're coming in to buy.
But wait a minute, there's a whole other thing there too. Talk about the grind.
Yeah.
How many hours did the car guys work?
That was a key thing about the car business. If you wanted to, goes out to all the car guys, man. And I know there's a bunch of people that there's so many people that sell cars around this country. You had to be there. If you wanted to make money in the car business, you had to be there all the time, bell to bell. If you wanted to make money, even on your days off, which you got 2 of them, and they weren't on weekends. If you wanted a weekend off or a day of the weekend off, it had to be something that you had to check with your manager and get it approved, because nobody worked on the weekend. Weekend was game day. That's when you sold the most cars, so nobody was off on weekends. But and I would tell my cousin and people that I worked with back then, listen, man, if one of my customers comes in, call me. I'll come in. Because if you weren't there and somebody took one of your customers and they come in and they ask for you and you're not there, you're losing half your deal. Half your commission, you're losing it. Doesn't matter if you spend 3 hours with them yesterday. If they come in today to buy because you couldn't close them or they didn't close yesterday, and they come in to buy today, and somebody else greets them at the door and you're not there because it's your day off, or you don't come in till 1 o'clock in the afternoon that day because you worked the night shift, so you decided to take the morning off, and They don't feel like calling you because there's snakes in the car business that won't do it. They won't pick up the phone and call you. They'll snake half your deal and they'll go freaking they'll go get the deal information that you already did all yesterday. All you got to get is make a copy of the driver's license and the insurance card and take the deal to finance and give them the car. You're done in 30 minutes and you get half the commission. Okay? So that's why you had to be there all the time. And we did great. It was a lot of fun. That's why I say now I love the car business and I would get into the car business, but I got a family now, man. It's more important for me to spend time with my little girl, my wife, my son. It's more important,
I wasn't ever in the car business, but I know a little bit about it because I had so many friends, in sales. You know a lot of other salespeople. And a lot of them also, they all wanted to get into F&I because the F&I guy
make money.
That was the dude, right?
Yeah.
But there's only like 2 or 3 of them in the dealership.
Yeah,
and it's usually the salt dogs that were really good salesmen that as they're getting older, they're like, nah, I'm not going to do that anymore.
They get
I'll be
promoted.
the F&I,
They get moved up.
But that's kind of
Yeah, because those are car people. They have to, sometimes they got to reclose your deal in there because you didn't say something, you were inaccurate in your information giving with the car. So, they got to fix your deal. Sometimes they want to bounce from the box. Remember that's what they call it, the box, the finance office. That you have to be honest when you're doing sales. So when they go in there, you don't have a problem with your deal. Yeah, and those guys in the air conditioner, the F&I guys making the money, making the big commercial. But they're
But
car
they still
guys.
have to work the hours. They still had to work the hours.
They had to be there just as much as you. Those guys were there all the time because there was only a few of them.
Every time you finished the deal, it had to go to them.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember back then, man. It was different. It was yeah. Let's not get into that. It was just a lot of fun. We didn't have anything. The last time I went to buy a car, they handed me an iPad, dude. All I did was go scribble, and then they hit a little button, and that iPad would put my signature on the umpteen documents.
Wow, that makes life easier.
That you have to sign when you buy a car. When I sold cars, the deal jacket was that thick. I would pull out, and I had to fill out every single little piece of paper and do it properly. If not, they would chuck it out of the finance office and make me fix it. I'm telling you, it was interesting, but we got paid a lot more money. We made a lot of money. It was a lot of fun. The car business was super excited. Super excited. Let me talk about that. Let me hit that real quick because I think that's important. You got to get people excited about what they're buying, about what they're getting. For example, in the cars, they would go out and we would find the car that they're interested in. We're looking, what, a Corvette? Okay. There's a bunch of Corvettes. They're going to go to the one they're interested in. When someone's buying a car at that level, they're going to go to the color that they're interested in pretty much, This the one. You have to make sure that when they're picking out the car or whatever item it is, that it's the color that they like, everything. Sometimes they don't have the color that they like there, and we'll talk about that another day. Or you can ask me questions, and I'll tell you what to do. But once they land on the car that they like,
what happens if that car's out of their budget, though? So you got to do like the reality check, right?
Watch this. That's exactly what I was going to talk about. Watch this. And you get them on the Corvette, right? And you take them out. Take them out on a drive. You do the walk around. You tell them all about the car. You have to read all the books. You have to go through the brochure of the car and learn everything about the car, every single thing about the car. So when you go around the car and you explain the car to them, and you do an incredible walk around, become the best at doing that, and you take them out for the drive and you get them hot and excited on the car. You bring them back in and you say, park right here in the sold spot. No, I'm not going to buy today. You just park right there. You're already putting it in their brain that they're buying the car today. Fast forward to going into the dealership. You sit down and you start working the numbers on the car, and the guy won't close. The person won't close. They won't sign up. They won't accept whatever numbers you're giving them. You've already gone back and forth for a couple of minutes, and they won't sign up. You do this. You pick them up and you say, come on, let me show you something. And you take them out and you show them a different car. you downgrade them. For example, you take them from the Corvette to the Camaro. You downgrade them. You do the takeaway. That's what it's called. It's called the takeaway. You take them in a very nice way. I want to show you something. And you take them right out to a really nice Camaro. And you're going to get two things. They're either going to like the Camaro, and that's when you did the price check with them. You kind of hit them in the head like, wait a second. Maybe it's that this car's out of their budget. And you take them to the Camaro, and they go, okay, yeah, this is nice. This price on this car. Because sometimes people are embarrassed to tell you that. They don't want to tell you that it's not in their budget. And they like it, and they say, oh, this is good. I like this color, blah, blah, blah. And you get them excited about that car. And you get them in it, and you do the same thing, and you take them back in, you close your deal. Or the second thing's going to happen, which is usually what happens, is that they get offended. They're like, no, wait a second, bro. No, I don't want a Camaro. I came to buy a Corvette. I want a Corvette. Okay, come on. Let's go look at the Corvette. And you take them back. You take them back to the Corvette. And you put them inside the car again. And you take them for a drive again. And you get them excited again. And then you go back into the dealership and they'll sign up. They'll sign up. You got to get them excited about what they're buying. That's just a little tidbit of the business. It's a lot of fun. The car business was a lot of fun. MLM, man, let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay. So I guess, all right. I told you the story about how I got first involved.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
And how that got me all excited and stuff, right? Then I started liking the idea, you know, the main thing that they were talking about is it's your own business, it's your own business, it's your own business, right? And in a way it is. In some ways it isn't. In some ways it is. It depends on how you view it. But here's what I would say to anybody that's considering doing a network marketing company. Do it anyway. Because the habits that you're going to learn, the personal development that you're going to learn, all the things you're going to learn, and I hope you do it and you become super successful in whatever company you want to do. And it's a possibility. It's out there, right? But whether you do or you don't, it is such an important personal development program. And a lot of that stuff is free or very, very cheap compared to what you would pay for that outside of the network marketing field.
It's pretty much free now.
So think of this. If you are doing big personal development events, seeing Tony Robbins, going here, seeing when you got all these speakers talking, that's thousands of dollars in mentorship and in extra events and things you're doing, which, by the way, all of it is absolutely worth it. The person that you become, the person that walks out of those rooms versus the person that came into those rooms is very different. You're going to level up as a person, as a human being, as a salesperson, whatever. I mean, it's all
and
of it.
And then your
is,
bank account will level up.
All of it is worth it. But when you're doing a network marketing company, because it's in that company's best interest that the best you shows up, all of that training is already there. And some of it costs, but nowhere near the programs that we just talked about, right? As a matter of fact, sometimes in those events, they have those same speakers speaking in the event. So I started really, really getting into it. And then I became, in a way, one of the stories, right? And what I mean by that is, as I am escalating in that network marketing company and getting better and building a bigger group and building a bigger group, my job, which was not a bad job at that moment, I had worked my way from being a person that worked for a language company, and I was a salesperson in a mall, to then being a manager of one of those places, to then being an area manager. So I worked my way up in that company. But eventually, the company completely phased out all of their retail face-to-face operations and went digital. And so within a certain amount of months, they laid me off. I was the last person to get laid off. As a matter of fact, they gave me a bonus for making sure that everybody got laid off and everything was done and everything shipped back and whatever. But the point was, I still got laid off. And if it wasn't because I had that other business going, I don't know what would have happened to me. You know what I mean?
That's the
So it's the
problem with
importance
the job.
the importance of the side hustle, and also of always having other things to do. And again, that was a very important part of my life, and it led to all of these other connects and all of these other people that I met. And if you take anybody from that area of expertise and from the people that we knew, they're all successful.
No, and it's funny that he mentions the people because I'm still, most of my best friends now are from MLMs that I've worked in the past.
Look, let's talk without naming names, right?
The reason we're here today.
Mortgage industry,
Yeah.
stockbroker,
Oh, yeah.
Insurance business, speaker. There's one that's really, really, really famous that was on The Bachelor, right? So, I mean, one of our big heads over here actually moved over to the West Coast of the United States and is killing it in sales, killing it in digital social media marketing, and killing it in trading. And that's a whole other thing. I'm a trader. Cool. I'm a Forex trader. Aside from that, I work in the vacation business in sales, right? I'm a Forex trader.
Multiple income streams.
Yeah, yeah. And I love it. And a funded Forex trader, like for real. Not like, it. But here's the thing. You go on Instagram. You go on YouTube. Hey, and I got a YouTube channel, right? Even though I haven't posted a video probably in a year and a half, right? But you watch all these people and everybody's telling you how easy it is. Oh, it's so easy. All you got to do is make money from your phone. No, it's not easy. It takes years. Let's go back to what we started the conversation with. 10,000 hours. Right now, depending on your disposition and whatever you may have done previously in your life, maybe you were good at numbers, maybe you were good at statistics, maybe you were good at reading charts or whatever, then the curve for you might be a little easier. So it took me a good 6 years to get good at what I'm doing. Maybe if you had some of those things I just said, maybe it'll take you 3 years, right? But that's because you had already put in the hours in those other things beforehand.
Amen.
So if it's still, I would still say if something looks too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true, right? But that doesn't mean it's not true. It just means that it might take a little longer. That's all, So yeah. Pick things that resonate with you and that you like, and then don't put an unreasonable expectation. Look, all of these people say the same thing. People completely overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 5 to 10 years. So just pick something that you like or that you really dig, that you'd do anyway, even if you weren't making money. You'd do it just because it was fun. Granted, it would be greater to make money at it, right? But that you'd be okay doing it and fall in love with that process. And I promise you that the good enough factor, if you continue to get better, the good enough factor, well, there will be a time where, oh, wow, now I am making money. Oh, wow, now I'm making really good money. Oh, wow, I don't know anybody in my industry that's making the money. And so on and so on and so on,
I remember. So he says that every time he says, repetition. I remember when I first started selling insurance, health insurance. And I remember that I would be in the office and I would be pitching. And when I first started, I was horrible. And then I read it so much. Christian, I read it so much that I would dream about the pitch.
Sure. Yeah.
That's when you know you're really doing a thorough job at what you're supposed to be doing. When you dream about it, I did it so much that I memorized it, right? But we were selling all over the country. So there were certain states that there were certain little things that you couldn't say. You know what I mean? And the computer was smart, so when the script would pop up on your screen,
it would switch, and it
would change a little thing. It wouldn't be much. It would just be a little thing. Maybe you didn't get this, and I would tell them that they did, or something like that. But when you get good, that you memorize what you're saying. My gosh, you can feel you get excited because you get so good at it because you did it so much already. You start crushing it. You just got to do it over and over and over again.
Because you're confident.
Yeah.
What we were talking
I'm
about.
telling you, it was amazing. You just got to do the repetition in everything that we've done. Everything we keep talking about the same thing. You know, that when you're out there and you're taking the action, you gotta keep going, even though you run into roadblocks. You can't let that knock you down. You know, you remember when you were building your business. You remember he said something that he would, you know, he told his cousin, right? He told his cousin, most of the people that you invited are not going to show up. He was already telling him because you already know that if you invite 100 people, maybe 20 or 30 are going to show up. Maybe. You're lucky. That's why they tell you, don't prejudge, invite everybody. Don't get let down if you invite 50 people and only 2 showed up, because it might not be that they weren't interested. It might be the way you did it. And you're going to get better on the next go around. And the next go around, when you go through your list and you start calling everybody again and then making the invitation, the simple little invitation, it's got to be done properly. You got to do it exactly like they teach you to do it with whatever company you're working with.
And wait a minute, you might have to qualify this because some of your viewers might not even know what you're talking about,
Right.
because they don't even do it like that anymore.
Yeah, they don't even
now
do it
it's
like
all
that.
on Zoom calls.
Yeah,
right?
but still, even on the Zoom, it's going to work the same way, right?
Yeah,
You got to get them to show up. You know what I mean? The good thing about the Zoom is that you get more people show up now because they can show up from their house. They don't have to go anywhere. Oh, no problem. I'll be there. Boom. If they don't like it, they can just turn it off and leave. But when you start inviting people to your Zoom, the first 100 that you invite, maybe 10 will show up. But once you do that for a couple of months and you're having 2 or 3 meetings a week and you invite people every day, you do this over and over and over again. Like you explained, now when you invite 50 people, 30 might show up because you're good. You got them excited. You did it right. You're really good now because you've done it so many times over and over again.
Yeah.
You know? It was I remember meetings with our team in that company, and I remember that we would when you do the meetings with all the people in the home back then or in the Zoom, you got to get them fired up, man. And we were so good already. The team that I was working with, Carlos, Carl, Nelson, they were all players. And when we would have a meeting, sometimes almost everybody in the meeting would sign up. That's when you follow all these steps and you do it right. Oh my gosh, we had so much fun.
But it's also part of the culture, right?
Yeah.
So if you build a winning culture where people are getting results, where they're excited, where they want to be there, it's almost infectious, because at that point, the people who are just seeing this for the first time, well, some of them are going to be like, yo, these people are crazy. This is a cult, right? This is nuts.
And they'll get up and they'll leave.
Which, by the way, you know, a lot of times when you start and you're getting exposed to network marketing companies, I can get how you can get that kind of a vibe, right? Because everybody's excited and everybody's pumped up, and you know, they go to these meetings and they're hanging out together. But I want you guys to realize that in modern society, you are hypnotized by everything. The minute you turn on your TV, the minute you turn on the radio, the minute all of the advertising, all of the media, everything is designed to capture your attention. Is the biggest commodity there is. And everything is from the color that is used to the frequency of the music to the beat of the music. Everything is designed to catch your attention and to get you to sway one way or another, or to buy a product or to do something. So the only thing that these people are doing is consciously deciding what they're letting their subconscious accept, which is going to be good principles for health, good principles for success, good principles for sales, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, so if it seems cultish to you, then look around, because you are already surrounded by society imprinting its opinions on you from the beginning. The real awakening is when you start picking what you let in and what you don't. That's it.
Yeah.
And the people that do that, by the way, are the most successful ones in their industry. Not just network marketing.
And identifying those type of people, those people that are in that situation. He's talking about people having their parachute open. You know what I mean? Sometimes they come into your home and you don't know what's going on in their life. You know, you could be showing them the most amazing business and their parachute's not open. Now, a good way, and this is what I learned in the first one, a good way, you know, and I don't see anybody doing this now, and I believe, in my opinion, is to lead off when you're going to sit down, and you might think this is weird or, you know, immature or, you know, kind of like a cult. Talk about the dream first. You got to talk to them about what's going on in their life and what they want out of life. You got to talk to them about schools. You got to talk to them about homes. What would you do? This is what I used to ask. What would you do if you had an unlimited stream of income where money was not a problem, no more, never again, it's done, the chasing the dollar bill is over? What would you do? How would your life be? And you have to have the courage, the audacity to ask that question and talk to people about that. Don't be scared, because let me tell you, if you get them to start talking to you about that, their wheel starts to spin, man. You get that dream wheel spinning again, because most people have their dream wheel shut down. They're already connected to a system that's making them go to a job, make a certain amount of money every week to pay a certain amount of bills. It's not enough for nobody. Nobody can make enough with a job to sustain a decent lifestyle. It's tough, okay? They're already accustomed to that life. They're already unhappy. They're not. Their dream wheel, when we were little and we used to talk, remember when we were little kids, 10, 12, 15 years old, and then I want to be a police officer, or I want to be a fireman, or I want to be a freaking owner of the Dallas Cowboys, or I want to be this, or I want to be an owner of NASCAR. All these things that I'm saying, I said, I want to own a NASCAR team. Well, I'm telling you, and what happens in our life is that our dream wheel, our dreams get pushed down into a corner in our brain, in our thoughts, in our mind, and we don't think about them anymore. And we don't shoot for them anymore because you feel that you don't have a way to achieve it. So when you're sitting in front of a human being or multiple human beings, and you start talking about the dream, and you spark those candles back up. Because if you do it good, let me tell you, man, if you get good at that, at dream building, and talk about the dream, when you pull out your information and you start showing them the vehicle that's going to help them get from point A, where they're at, to point B, where you're talking about, and you show them, you're about to start showing them a vehicle that's going to help them do it, I promise you they're going to pay attention.
Sure.
I promise you they're going to pay more attention to you than if you don't start with the dream.
But now with that comes a big responsibility, because if you light somebody's fire up
and you don't provide
you got to help them get
yes,
there.
Sir.
I mean, they got to do their part, right?
You're a beast, bro. I love you, man. You're awesome.
They got to do their part, right? It's got to be 49-51. You got to want it more than I do if I'm giving you the opportunity. But if I'm giving you the opportunity and you want it more than you do, I better have my stuff squared away to help you do it, because if not, I'm a liar.
That's right. And you're going to talk to them, and when they say, okay, I want to do this with you, man, they're putting all of their trust into you. They've probably never done anything like this. You're going to tell them, listen, you need to do this, 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 and this. You commit to doing these things every day and every week. I will commit to being there for you every single moment along the way. Because if you help enough people achieve their dreams, you're going to achieve your dreams. And you're going to hear me say that a lot. The more people you help get what they want, the more of what you want you're going to get.
Sure.
Okay? And that's why you heard me say a little while ago when we were having the meetings with all the guys and the names that I mentioned, is because they were all there supporting me, man. I was the green guy. I was new. Ask Nelson, bro. I had only been in the business for like a month. I was on fire. Every week just inviting and fill living rooms up, and these guys would come, that they were awesome at the business, and all they would do the presentation, and then they would bring Randy up that's over there in the corner, jumping out of his seat, excited. I would go up and I would get excited. I would talk about the dream. I would talk about the service, and everybody would sign up. It was amazing, amazing, but I had a backup team that it didn't matter what objection they hit us with. It didn't matter what question. We got it. We had it covered.
And there was a culture of results, right? So they were backing up what they were saying. It wasn't just fooling or tricking somebody to get excited.
Yeah.
You were waking up something that was asleep.
Dormant.
Right? But then once that wakes up, you got to follow through. Mm-hmm. And if you've got a culture, same thing, if you guys have businesses out there, right? And if your business is not where it's at, if you know that it could do more, and you walk in the morning to your place of business and it's like a morgue, that's on you.
Yeah, man.
That's on you. It's your business. It's your culture. You got to start that. Now, it starts with you. You got to get yourself right. But then you got to get everybody else on fire. And then you got to help them get the results that they want. Because guess what? If you've got a whole room on fire, when you get into work, whatever it is that you do, that's infectious.
Man, it is.
It's going to pass on to your clients. It's going to pass on to your business partners. It's going to pass on to everything that's lateral on the business. That's how, kind of like, in a way, in the real world, not the digital world. In the digital world, when something goes viral, it goes viral. But that's a way of going viral in the real world as well,
Yeah, it's getting your team excited. Like he said, we used to have meetings. I'm telling you, everywhere that I've been, that they do that. Every time I used to have a call center, a virtual call center of people on the phone working from home. And I would have a meeting in the morning, whatever product or service we were selling. And usually the managers would talk about all the technical stuff and all the compliance stuff and all that kind of stuff. And I would tell them, and I was the owner, and I would say, just give me 5 minutes at the end. That's all I wanted, was 5 minutes. And I would get on there for 5 minutes, and I would talk. Man, I would get you so excited, bro. In 5 minutes, done. And then we would put up spiffs and bonuses, and they would hit that phone and crush it. Because it's all about getting people excited about. You got to be excited about what you're doing. It's a lot of fun. Christian, it's been a pleasure having you on
Likewise,
here, man.
Likewise.
A lot of fun, man. We could go on and on talking about this kind of stuff, talking
sure.
about MLM and network marketing. It's just, we'll end it with this. He said it right away when I finished. You got to be there for your team. You got to be there for your new people. You got to be there to help them out. You have to provide the support. You have to make phone calls for them, with them. You got to get on the phone with them. You got to be on the phone and say, okay, I'm going to be on the phone here with you, John. And you're going to call this person, your sister, your mother, your brother, and whoever they're calling. And if you stumble, all you got to do is say, listen, Mom, I have my business partner on the phone, Randy, and I just wanted to introduce him to you. You get wherever you start to stumble, you just put me on the phone. And then I'll take over, hey, Mom, blah, 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 and I'll help them sign their customer up, and I'll help them get all set up, because no mom is going to tell her son that she doesn't want to sign up for the service that he's offering if you ask the right way, the proper way. But you got to be there for them to ask, because if you not there for them to help them, they might not get the result they're supposed to get, So, yeah, it's vital.
Yeah.
Guys, I hope that all that helps. We had a great time. If you've got any questions for me, please shoot them over. I'll be glad to answer any questions. If you guys got any critique, I'll take the critique. Anything you want me to do in the future, any suggestions, shoot it over. I'm down. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. We have so much we're going to bring to the table and help and assist as much as we can with your side hustle. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. God bless all of you. Bye-bye.